piece of me?
Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Good morning, Vietnam! I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
You do. You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
Happy Monday, moviegoers. Welcome to one of the biggest Mondays of the year for us. Welcome to episode 239, and welcome to the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Juan, and I am joined by the cast, the crew. Zach.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Craig.
Yo.
Man, guys, it has been a week. It has been a year. It has been a day. But you know what? We're here. We're talking movies. Not only are we talking movies, we are talking our top 5 plus 5 of 2022. And then we're gonna dish out some awards. We're gonna dish out some hardware. We're gonna talk about our favorite. We have a whole list of favorites that we're gonna talk about. But before we jump right into it, because we're kicking it off hot and heavy, Zach, we'll start with you. How was your weekend?
It was pretty good. Got some chores done around the house and just kind of hanging out. What about you guys?
Come this way and do mine.
No, I'm good. I got plenty over here.
Craig, what about you? You have a good weekend? Final Four action?
Yeah, I watched Final Four. I got UConn tonight. Just kind of chilled around the house. I'm finishing up my replay of Zelda Ocarina of Time, the greatest game of all time, in my opinion.
Oh.
So just doing a little bit of dabbling here and there, a little bit of everything.
Little dabbing.
Yeah.
It's been a weekend. You know, I went and visited the great state of Texas over the weekend. Came back just in time to talk movies with you guys, and I think it's gonna be an interesting conversation. I'm gonna read some emails. Emails are finally back today, so if you guys want to get into some of that, we will and we can. Just hit us up right here, social media, facebook.com/the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. The Instagram is all one word, the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. The Twitter is at Cine-Men405, and then the email, which you can reach us at and send us some of your thoughts, CINE921@gmail.com. There you can find the links to all of our episodes, even some of the Friday the 14th episodes, all right here on the social media and on the links. A look back last week, me and Zach hung out and talked about Steven Spielberg and the Fabelmans. So if you want to listen to that episode, go back and listen to it wherever you listen to podcasts. Guys, let's hurt some feelings. Let's make fun of some movies, because that's why we're here. We're talking our top 5 worst movies of 2022. The only movie we're not going to talk about in this list is our prestigious worst movie of the year, which we're going to give out a big piece of white dog shit a little bit later on to the worst movie of the year. By all means,
Doesn't that like get your spirits high? Honestly,
it gets my spirits up high. It feels like Christmas again. All right. Let me kick us off. I'm going in hot and heavy. Number 5 for me, top 5 worst movies of 2022. Number 5 for me is going to be Studio 666. The movie that was produced and starring the Foo Fighters. They tried to do a little comedy / horror movie. It was enjoyable, but at the time, I don't think I will ever have the need to pick that up and watch it again. It just felt awkward, and it felt more like a comedy, but I think that's what it was supposed to probably be. It was worth a watch, but I'll never ever watch it again. So number 5 for me, Studio 666. Zach, what about you?
Number 5 for me is going to be one of the many, many superhero movies we got last year. It's going to be Morbius.
Oh, number 5.
I really went in with this saying, like, well, maybe it's not as bad. Oh, no. It was way worse than I could ever possibly imagine. It looked like the visuals of it even look like bad. Like, we just done Spider-Man, 2002 Spider-Man, and like, we're going to copy that. Way worse. Jared Leto, The worst part of it was probably Matt Smith. I really don't like Matt Smith as an actor anyway, but he was god awful on this. The dancing, the singing, it just terrible, and easily one of the most. The post credit scene in that movie is easily one of the most like we have a hard on and we're gonna do this and we're gonna get this done right. It was awful. So number 5 is Morbius.
Dang, Craig, number 5 for you.
Number 5 for me is going to be Uncharted. Tom Holland, Mark Wahlberg. You know, as far as the casting went for the 2 characters, I don't feel like they nailed it. No. And then it wasn't what I wanted in an Uncharted film, having played the video games. So that's my number 5.
Yeah. Those video game movies hardly do well on the big screen. Number 4 for me is going to be Memory, starring Liam Neeson. Liam Neeson is starting to become one of those actors that just puts anything and everything out.
Straight to DVD guy.
Yeah, dude just needs a paycheck now at this point. But you know what? I was kind of positive about this movie. I'm like, man, it's Liam Neeson. He still has some pretty good action left in him. He had the little cameo in Obi-Wan, so I was like, maybe this movie could be the resurgence. Nah, it was the resurgence of me falling my ass to sleep. Took me 3 tries to watch this movie, and when I finally did get into it, it just didn't deliver. Number 4 for me is Memory. So, Zach, number 4 for you?
Number 4 is a remake of a Stephen King story, and I'm pretty sure I was the only one that watched this. I'm the only person that watched this movie last year. Was Firestarter with Zac Efron. Just one of those like it's just one of those things where like it seemed like a good idea at the time. You know, maybe revamp the story, do something different with it, but it just turned out to be just a cluster mess of a movie, and just I don't know who was behind the director, who was the director or what, but it was just one bad decision after another, and it just terrible, very, very terrible. So number 4 is Firestarter.
Number 4 for you, Craig, sir.
Number 4 for me. You know, we did a review on this movie a while back, and you know, after kind of thinking about it, I don't think how I feel about the movie truly. My review isn't that accurate anymore due to time passing. Number 4 for me is Don't Worry, Darling. I feel like that movie really just hits a brick wall towards the end. It kind of doesn't have any real direction. With a cast like it had, it really fell flat for what came out of last year. So that's my number 4.
Man, this is getting down to the nitty-gritty. It's a good list. Number 3 for me is starring Naomi Watts, and it's Infinite Storm. It's one of those movies that it's a disaster film. She's technically one of the only actors in the movie. I think it tries too hard to be something that it's not. And you know, you have so many of those movies that come out, the disaster movies or the movies where you have to survive and drink your own piss sometimes to survive. Like 127 hours.
Oh, okay.
But you know what? All credit to Naomi Watts. She did good in the movie, but the movie is just, it's dull, and it cuts like a butter knife. I don't think I'll ever have the desire to rewatch it again. So that's how I base a lot of these movies off of. So Infinite Storm is number 3 for me. Zach, what about you?
Number 3 for me, this is one that was so bad that I think people just forgot this came out. Did you guys remember that there was a Texas Chainsaw Massacre that came out early last year on Netflix?
Yeah.
That's my number 3. The biggest insult of that movie is it's trying way, way too hard to be Halloween 2018. And it was just being, I understand it's Texas Chainsaw. That's like the whole concept of it. But I mean, it was just being gory for gory's sake. I mean, that whole party bus scene was just totally like, it was basically 1,000 Ways to Die by Leatherface. And it was just after like the first like minute, I was just like, okay, I'm done. Let's just get past this. So, and I think, I don't know about you guys. I just think we need to stop with this franchise. The only good one is the original, and a lot of people think that the Michael Bay produced remake is actually pretty good, but everything else has just been just terrible. So I think we just need to stop with that franchise. So number 3 is Netflix's Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Craig, number 3 for you.
Number 3 for me is The Invitation. It reminded me too much of I can't remember what that other movie was, but it's very similar. Like, she goes to the house, they have this whole kind of cult thing.
Ready or Not.
Ready or Not.
Kind of reminded me of that. I felt like it was kind of overplayed, so I kind of had a general idea of the ending. Just wasn't very good. I mean, the budget was only $10 million, so it's not like they put out a lot for it. Still made money at the box office, but just wasn't very good.
Number 3 for you was The Invitation. Number 2 for me is going to be probably one of the most highly anticipated sequels of last year. Number 2 for me is Hocus Pocus 2. Big old piece of spiraling. It's just hot garbage. There was probably about 10 or 15 minutes where I was like, this could be something, and then it went downhill, and it went downhill fast.
I think your general consensus was after the Walgreens scene, it just got worse, progressively worse.
After the Walgreens thing. And you know what? I really wanted to like this movie, but number 2 is Hocus Pocus 2, and I don't even think it deserves any more of my conversation or time. So it made me not even want to go. I went back and watched the original one after that, and it made that leave a bitter taste in my mouth. So, yeah.
You're like, I hate these people.
Yeah, I hate these 3 fucking witches. Oh. Sorry, witches. Witches. But yeah, number 2 for me is Hocus Pocus 2. Zach, number 2 for you?
Number 2, Johnny, this is going to piss you off. I don't really care. I wasn't on the episode, so I didn't get to talk to you guys about it. But number 2 is Men. A24's Men. The only enjoyment I got out of that, I listened to a little bit of the episode. I think it was Craig, or it was maybe you, Craig, or Ed, that started singing men. It's like, yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, that's probably way off tune, but
it's just, I really had high hopes for this movie and A24, and I really liked the setting of it. I thought the cinematography was actually pretty good, but there's nothing worse than having a film or a director that's trying to make a statement about something, but it gets lost in the weaves. And by the time you get to the guy, just starts like
himself.
Yeah, terrible, awful. I mean, I don't know what you guys thought. I mean, I think you guys kind of liked it, but it just got to the point where I just like, I can't. Like, this is more A24 than I can handle. So number 2 is Men.
Yeah, I remember there was like some parts where I was like, that's pretty good, but then the overall consensus, I was just like, it wasn't for me.
Craig, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is Disney back at it again with the remake, Pinocchio.
Oh no.
It was bad. And it wasn't just that it was bad. My daughter enjoyed it, so it was on multiple times, which made it worse.
Oh no.
And then it made me even more upset that it was on continuously.
Yeah.
And I got to see it multiple times, and every time it got worse. Every time I hated it more. It's my number 2. Disney's Pinocchio with Tom Hanks.
Oof.
Is it like, I've heard it's like, it's way darker than it needs to be, especially for that story.
It's darker. It's the CGI isn't very good.
It's pretty bad.
The acting, the songs, just the original. You're doing a disservice.
It almost made my list, but I couldn't do my boy Tom Hanks that way.
I know.
He's on another list.
Yeah, he is on another list. Was he Jewish?
No, not that list.
Oh.
That's awesome.
We're just gonna stop right there. Yeah.
We're talking Schindler's List later. It's okay, baby.
But yeah, it's yeah, it wasn't very good. So it's my number 2.
Man, that was your
All
number
right.
2? Oh. One of my worst movies of the year. It doesn't get the Dog Shit of the Year award, but one of my worst movies of last year, which is number 1. Zach, you said nobody bought it or watched it. I bought it.
Oh, Jesus Christ, dude.
Yeah, I know. Number 1 for me is Firestarter.
Don't do that to yourself.
I watched it and I bought it the week it came out.
He bought Abduction with
Taylor
Lautner.
So yeah, it was a terrible movie. Zac Efron deserves not to ever be inside of a horror movie again. And he had a bad year last year in movies. Gold almost made my list as well.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, number 1 for me is going to be Firestarter. Zach, you already said enough about it. I can't wait for you guys to see and hear my Dog Shit of the Year award. Craig, number 1 for you, or Zach, number 1 for you?
Number one is going to be Amsterdam. Did you guys see this? It's with Christian Bale, Margot Robbie, and John David Washington.
No, I should have though.
No, you don't. No.
I want to watch
truly
it.
No, don't, dude. It is one of the most convoluted films you will ever see. You think with an amazing, really good cast, actually a decent director with David O. Russell, you would think there was some promise behind that. No, it's one of those. You start off with one thing and you end with something else. You're just like, okay, I understand how we like A and B, but how did we get to A and B? It makes no logical sense whatsoever. So yeah, that would have to be Amsterdam as number 1.
Yeah. My number 1. I expressed my issues with it in the podcast. None other than Jurassic World Dominion.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for the title, it might have been my dog shit movie, but
oh man,
something else. There's something way worse than that.
I just did not have fun with this movie, even though, like, I wanted to have fun with it. I wanted it to be good.
The episode hating on it was more entertaining than the movie.
Yeah.
Johnny fell asleep. We had a guy next to us walk out. So I mean, like, just everything around this movie encompassed it to be on this list. The more that I see Jurassic World Dominion, the more I hate it, because it should have been such a better film, in my opinion. I understand some people like it, but it's my number 1.
That's insane.
But it's also, I think there was also enjoyment of just me being excited for the movie and just me just being like totally depressed and just it's awful.
That's why the episode was so good.
I mean, for it to be, like you said, for it to be Jurassic World, and this is the finale, and this is what we came up with, just
yeah, giant grasshoppers destroying everything.
Well, guys, we're going to go ahead and read off some other people's list as well. I didn't physically or vocally talk to this person or name, so these are messages that were sent in on the Instagram and the Facebook. So please, if I butcher this name, I'm sorry. Ish's list, ISH. Worst movies of 2022 for him is going to be number 5, Halloween Ends. Number 4, Lightyear. Number 3, Scream.
Take it back.
Number 2, Hellraiser. And number 1, Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, okay.
Ernest, worst movies of 2022. Number 5, Sonic 2. Number 4, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Number 3, Hocus Pocus 2. Number 2, The Invitation. And number 1, Jeepers Creepers Reborn.
If I saw Jeepers Creepers, it probably would have made the list.
I didn't know that movie came out last year.
And then Ish's I really hope I'm saying that right. I'm sorry. Ish's best movies of 2022. Number 5, The Adam Project. Number 4, Uncharted. Number 3, Prey. Number 2, Black Adam. Number 1, Top Gun. And Ernest's top 5 movies of 2022: Scream, Uncharted, The Batman at 3, number 2, Smile, number 1, Bodies, Bodies, Bodies.
You know, I was the Adam Project probably could fall under the underrated category. I don't think many people watched it. It was on Netflix. Short film, nobody really talked about it, but it was a good watch. It was a good watch.
Yeah.
For us guys, let's get into top 5 of 2022. That's why we're here. Let's do
the top 10 of 2022, 6 through 10.
Yeah, there we go. Top 5 plus 5 of 2022, 6 through 10, and honorable mentions. Before I get started, I will run through my honorable mentions real quick. Hustle, X, Thor, Love and Thunder, and Prey. Zach, any honorable mentions?
Yeah, I'm going to go with newly crowned Best Picture winner, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Prey, Babylon, and this one for the longest time was in my top 10, but it just got bummed because I probably will never watch it again, and I didn't want to force myself and not like it. Is called Fire of Love. It was nominated for Best Documentary from National Geographic. Really, really compelling. It's on Disney Plus about these two volcanologists who. The movie's all done through like archival footage and interviews and stuff. Very well done and some incredible volcano footage. So that'd be my official honorable mention.
Craig, you have any?
Yeah, Thor, Love and Thunder, Bullet Train, and Prey.
Prey. Eat, Love, Prey?
No. Hulu original Prey. Is it a Hulu original?
Yeah.
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 All right, guys, we talked about it. It was one of the episodes. My number 10, Pearl. I think starting this list off with a horror movie, starting this list off with just this movie in general, I was super excited about going into this movie. Saw in theaters opening weekend. And I think it is something that I've seen numerous times. I went and saw it in the theater twice. I have yet to buy it physically, and I have not yet rewatched it since. But watching it twice opening weekend, it just made me realize how important a really good horror movie can be. And it really made me open my eyes with Mia Goth. And I think the story is fantastic. It's not overdone. It's only an hour and 40 minutes. There's just enough kills, and the performances were really great. So if you guys want to hear more of my thoughts on this movie, go back and listen to the episode. Dedicated a whole episode to it. So number 10 for me is Pearl. Zach, number 10 for you?
Number 10 is going to be independent film. Had its premiere technically at the Toronto International Film Festival in 2021, but had a actual theatrical release date in May of last year. It's called Montana Story, and it stars Haley Lee Richardson and Owen Teague. It's a story about two siblings who kind of have to go back to their ranch in Montana and deal with like the past trauma that they had to deal with as kids. Very good performances, really good way of talking about the topic of trauma in a very interesting way. It's kind of set in like the ranch or like the sprawling hills of Montana, so you get some beautiful scenery. Cinematography is really good. I think you can watch it on Showtime, I believe. Just an overall really good movie. Like I said, it was independent. No one really saw it, so it caught my eye and checked it out and just really dug it. So number 10 is Montana Story.
Number 10 for me, we kind of talked about it a little bit before. The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent with Nick Cage, The only reason I watched this movie is because of the memes that have been going around with Mandalorian guy.
Oh, Pedro Pascal.
Pedro Pascal. Those memes were really getting to me, so I was like, I got to see what this is all about. I watched it. I actually enjoyed it. The whole concept of everybody else is kind of an actor while Nick Cage is still playing Nick Cage as a struggling actor who is unsure of if he wants to keep acting or if he's retired. It just surprised me. I had a good time watching it. It was fun. So that's my number 10.
And we'll talk about it here in 2 weeks, actually. So,
Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. What a fun movie. I'm interested to talk about it in a few weeks. I've only seen it once. So I'm interested to see how the rewatch will do for me.
Yeah.
Number 9 for me, Everything Everywhere All at Once. We did a live episode on it, live at Radio Cinema. It just got done winning Best Picture. It dominated the Oscars. But you know what? I think this movie makes my list because, I talked about it in the episode. The rewatchability, it's either going to hit you or it's not.
Yeah.
And when I rewatched it for this episode, and when I went and rewatched it for before the Oscars, I was like, you know what? This is one of those movies that I think, you're going to have to be in the mood to watch it. But once you're in that mood, it's almost going to be like one of the best watches because you're going to notice something different every single time. And it's a fun movie. I mean, the performances are fun. Michelle, Zach, help me out here. Michelle Yeoh is really entertaining, and I think the Daniel brothers nailed it. And man, it's just a fun watch. And all these movies I'm going to name, personally, I went out and purchased them just so I can rewatch them again. I think that's really important, and we all do in this podcast as far as like, if
supporting.
It's gotta be supporting, like not only supporting the movie by going and purchasing it, but like that's how I'm gonna tell if I want to rewatch it again. Like it's right behind me if I want to watch it, and that's how I know I enjoy something. So number 9 for me, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Zach, number 9 for you.
Yeah, just kind of going off what you said, Johnny. Everything Everywhere All at Once really could have made my list. I rewatched it, I think the week before the Oscars and for this episode, just to make sure that I didn't want to leave it out. It was the rewatchability. I mean, I had a blast rewatching it, honestly, but like I don't know how many times I'll rewatch that movie. So number 9 is a Netflix movie. Probably, like I said, Netflix movies are very hit and miss now, but this one really hit it, and we talked about it back in the summertime. Number 9 is Hustle. Adam Sandler, basketball. Just, like I said, man, when Adam Sandler wants to do dramatic work, he can be very, very good. I thought it had a really great story, great premise, a great message of always trying to follow your dreams and never trying to give up on them, even when it gets hard. Even the supporting cast is really good. You wanted to hate the hell out of Ben Foster so badly in this movie. Just overall, a very, very great surprise. When you said we were going to do this, I was like, oh, okay, here we go. And yeah, man, I think I was the highest on the episode and made my list at number 9. So that's Hustle.
Ed's always the highest. You feel me?
Yeah.
So moving on to me, my number 9. It doesn't have a good rating as far as critic scores. I don't know what other people's thoughts are on this movie. But after I got Hogwarts Legacy, I went back and watched all the Harry Potter movies. And watching Fantastic Beasts 1, 2, and 3, I enjoyed them. I really enjoyed the last one. I liked the direction it was going. I kind of Googled if there was ever going to be a 4th one, what the direction was. If you're Googling when the next movie is, it's gotta leave a good taste in your mouth if you're watching it. You know what I mean? So, Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore is my number 9.
Nice.
And talking back what you said about it not having good ratings, dude. I like the fact that we pick movies that we actually like, and not just that's
Going off a top 10 list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we're here for. And man, that game must be really good if it made Craig watch all the Harry Potter.
All the Harry Potter movies, yeah.
Yeah. He just dived deep into the wizarding world.
He just lost it. Number 8. Father Stew, starring Mark Wahlberg. Tremendous story based off of a true boxer turned priest, who inspired countless people. I've been wanting to talk about it ever since I watched it, but I mean, can't do everything. But I think
Everywhere.
it's all at once.
Mhm.
But it's a tremendous story. The cast is fantastic. Mel Gibson, Mark Wahlberg, Teresa Ruiz, who just kills it as Carmen. If you guys have not seen this, I highly recommend it. I believe you can watch it on Netflix right now, or support it like me. Go check it out. Go buy it. It's pretty cheap right now. But yeah, number 8 is Father Stew,
Or you can go to your local library.
which I did
There
not
you
know.
That was one of the great bits from last year. I gotta admit that on the Halloween 4 episode, that was more entertaining than actually talking about the movie.
You know what? Since we're still fairly new, I mean, we're in the start of the second quarter now for the podcast. We should, if we have a good moment in a podcast, we should like kind of keep notes personally and revisit it next year and do like top 10 moments in the podcast of the previous year.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Good idea. Somebody write that down. Zach, number 7 for you.
Number 8. Number 8 for me, it probably should be a little bit higher, but on the rewatch, it didn't hinder it, but just the runtime kind of just prevented it from going up on the list. Number 8 is The Batman. Easily one of the best conversations we had last year. Robert Pattinson knocked it out of the park and proved everybody wrong. The Batman Part 2 comes out, October 3rd of 2025. So we got a little bit to wait. But hey, Matt Reeves, I think he truly. Everyone's trying to reinvent Batman. He just took it back to basics. He's a detective and he's starting out. And I think every scene in that movie is so picturesque that you could just hang it on a wall. I liked like the gritty feel, but it didn't feel like
it was dirty.
Yeah. And the Robert Pattinson, Zoe Kravitz, Colin Farrell, Paul Dano,
good cast.
Andy Serkis, Jeffrey Wright, just really, really great supporting cast around Robert Pattinson that made his performance much, much stronger. And just like I said, overall a great time at the theater. And like I said, the runtime kind of hinders it just a little bit, but overall, I still going into that world, what Matt Reeves was able to create, still, it excites me for what's going to come next in that iteration of Batman. So, number 8 is The Batman.
Number 8 for me is this movie might have made it a little bit higher, but I watched it like 5 times in 1 week on accident because it was like watched it at the Rodeo Cinema just multiple times that week. Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Nice.
It was a great initial watch. The cast was good, the score, the sound, the plot. Everything about the movie was great for a movie that I had no expectations for. I didn't even know it existed. A friend of mine told me about it. We said we were going to do it on the podcast, so I checked it out. And when a movie does that, that's when it's a good movie because it's something you didn't expect and it comes out and it blows you away. So Everything Everywhere All at Once is my number 8.
That's funny. I had that as an honorable mention, and both of y'all have it in your top 10. So that's cool. It shows that movie made an impact on you guys. So
it's doing its job.
Yeah.
Well, and plus Johnny probably has it in there because it's A24. So not gonna lie.
Johnny's like, my top 10 A24 list is
right.
Then we're getting down to the nitty gritty. Number 7 for me is Scream 2022. Um, Ghostface still rules. Ghostface is entertaining, even though I did not quite enjoy the ending. I still have to say I've watched it 4 times since, and I don't hate it. And I still think up until the very end, I think it's one of the better horror movies from last year. And it's just I know a lot of people kind of hate, depending on what kind of Scream fan you are, but I think it had memorable deaths. It had an introduction of a new cast, a new crew, and it still kind of left me on the edge of my seat. Um, and the kills were up to date. It's an up to dated movie. It's not trying to live in the '90s, like Scream 3 was, or even Scream 4. It somewhat kind of was, but yeah, I thought it was a refresh. It was a breath of fresh air, and it was definitely what the mouth ordered if you needed Tic Tac for horror movies last year. It kind of kicked off what 2022 was going to be as far as horror movies go.
Yeah.
I know we're not talking about it because it's in just came out a few weeks ago, but Scream 5 or 6 better in your opinion?
I haven't rewatched Scream 6, but leading up to, I would have to say I enjoyed Scream 6 just a little bit more.
Yeah, I would say Scream 6. They're both one viewings, but I think Scream 6 has a little bit more memorable kills than the Scream 2022.
Gotcha.
So yeah, that's my number 7. Zach, what about you?
Number 7, I'm going to continue on the horror trend. Number 7 is Smile. Easily, I don't know if favorite is the right word, but that was such a memorable experience seeing that. It did what a horror movie is supposed to do and literally disturbed the hell out of me. It had some truly some of the most truly disturbing things I've ever seen in a horror movie, and the kills were just off the charts. And just I walked out of that movie and it was like, damn, I don't know what to think, and I truly feel I feel disturbed, and we don't get a lot of horror movies now that can do that.
You took the words right out of my mouth, but it's not on either one of my lists, and I'll tell you why. I wanted to talk about this with somebody else. The ending to me was just so flat.
The ending, I can see why people would get pissed off at the ending, but to me, I can't talk about it without spoiling it. So I'll just say that the actual final scene of the film redeemed it for what they were trying to build up to. So I think it saved itself. So number 7 is Smile.
Craig?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep my list the way it is. Number 7 for me is The Bad Guys. The animated movie with
Sam Rockwell. Awkwafina.
Just took my daughter to go see it. Loved it when I left the theater. Because it's animated movies, you're not sure how they're going to be. Look good in the trailers, but animated movies I feel like are so hit and miss now, even with Disney. Yeah. Especially last year, they were so hit and miss, obviously with my top 5 Pinocchio. But that was honestly one of the movies that I left and I was just like, man, it doesn't matter if it was animated, real life, whatever. It had a great soundtrack. The cast had great chemistry. Plot was good. Just made me want to watch the whole thing, and I've watched it multiple times since. So Bad Guys is my number 7.
My daughter was really into the books.
Nice.
And I used to go see the movie.
Yeah.
And yeah, the movie was really, really good.
That was one of those movies where I think Craig saw it first, then Johnny, then I went and saw it. So it was just kind of like a word of mouth type thing.
Which is good. I mean, that's what movies. I feel like that's what that's the movie did its job.
Yeah.
Number 6. This was a really hard thing to do, but my top 6, I could literally watch at any point in time this year and pick something memorable from the movie. Number 6 for me is going to be The Northman. It was an early release last April, I believe. It came so close. It was actually in a poll. It came so close to be an episode. So I think Zach, or who went with me? Zach, Craig?
It was me and Ed that went with you.
It was so close to be an episode. We were like, what the hell? Let's go see it. And it ended up losing out its battle. But it was a tremendous movie. The action, the gore, the story, it was original. The only reason it's not in the top 5 is it does kind of drag in the middle of the movie. But the cinematography is good. The performances, Alexander Skarsgård kills it. Let's not forget the great and powerful Anna Taylor-Joy. So it's definitely worth the watch, and I believe you can now watch it on the Peacock. But it made me want to go purchase it. I saw it twice in theaters, and every time I watch it out on the TV, it's tremendous watch. Especially if you've ever been in the Vikings TV show, it even has maybe some Game of Thrones feel to it. So if you like harsh, gory, crude shit like that, I think you'll like The Northman. So that's my number 6. Zach?
Number 6 for me, I think 6 through 10 is pretty solidified. I think I'm happy with where my movies ended up. Number 5, 1 through 5, there could be some change, but for sure 6 through 10 is that's my list. Number 6, I rewatched for this episode and just want to make sure. And I left my expectations at the door and just watched the movie for what it was. And honestly, I liked it a whole lot better. Number 6 is Nope, Jordan Peele's Nope. If you just kind of like I said, leave your expectations at the door and just watch the movie for how Jordan Peele wants you to watch it, it's such a roller coaster. It has a lot of great memorable scenes. I think his commentary on spectacle and how we get obsessed with it it makes a lot more sense for what we were trying to analyze it as back in the summertime. And great performances from Daniel Kaluuya and Keke Palmer. Great direction. Cinematography is beautiful in this movie. It's very, very stunning. And like I said, I'll go up to bat and say he's 3 for 3 so far. And I think this goes a little bit higher on his 3 films. Maybe I might even like this a little bit more than Us. It just depends on the day. But Nope really, like I said, go back and listen to our thoughts on that and just do it. Save some time and rewatch it again, and I think it really holds up. And it's actually a better viewing. So number 6 is Nope.
Craig?
Yeah. My number 6 is going to be Elvis. I did dislike Tom Hanks in this movie. I didn't like his character. Whether that's how he interpreted it or if that's how the character was written. But other than that, Austin Butler absolutely nailed Elvis. The settings, the costumes, the music, just everything about that movie, other than Tom Hanks' character, was completely captivating and felt real. It's a movie that I know I will definitely check out again. That's my number 6.
Yeah, Tom Hanks had a pretty rough year last year between that and Pinocchio.
Man. Well, those were our 6 through 10 guys, but now it's time to name some of our favorites of last year. I'll start first. My favorite actor last year, talked about him last week. It's got to be Paul Dano. I think he had a really good 2022. Everything that he was in last year, to me, was top notch as far as movies go. His performance in The Batman was undeniable. His performance in The Fabelmans that we talked about last week, Zach, to me was extraordinary. And I think Paul Dano, if he has been slept on,
we're trying to get him out there. We're trying.
If he's been slept on the last few years, 2022 should have grabbed you by the face and just shook you. because those two movies alone, he blew it out of the water with those performances. So, favorite actor from last year, Paul Dano. Zach, what about you?
Favorite actor for me, Brendan Fraser. We're talking about The Will next week, so we'll say my thoughts.
Craig?
Best actor for me, Austin Butler, Elvis.
Female side of things, favorite actress from last year. I talked about her in Pearl and X. I think it's Mia Goth. She played the same character two different times in a span of a year. Even though she did film those movies back to back, I can't wait to see what Maxine is about. But to me, it's really hard for me at least, to talk about you as a favorite actress when you're just in 2 horror movies that year. But she nails her performances in Pearl. I think if it wasn't for me seeing Pearl, I don't think I would have put her in this conversation. She was good in X, but Pearl, she completely blew it out of the water. And she made horror movies fun last year for me. And I think she like Paul Dano. I think it's just a matter of time until you start seeing her in some bigger and better things. So, favorite actress for me last year, Mia Goth. Zach?
Favorite actress from me is going to be Dakota Johnson for Cha Cha Real Smooth. She plays a character who you really want to root for. You feel sad for her. You feel happy for her. She really does all the emotions, and she does a very, very good performance in that movie. And at the end of the day, I think she's like the moral compass of the show, if you've ever seen it in certain aspects. And yeah, she, I think she's really tried. I think in the last couple of years with a whole bunch of stuff she's done, I think she's really shed her 50 Shades of Grey, leave that behind and able to break out and do her own thing. So I think
she also in the Crawfish movie.
No, she's in. No, she's in the Peanut Butter Falcon, if that counts.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I thought she was in Where the Crawdads Sing.
No. But Dakota Johnson from Cha Cha Real Smooth, excellent performance from one of my favorite actresses of last year. So,
Craig, favorite actress?
Yeah, I'm gonna make a last second change. I'm gonna go with Anya Taylor-Joy in The Menu.
Nice. I forgot she had a good year too.
Yeah,
who'd you have in that spot originally?
Michelle Yeoh, but that was just because I wasn't 100%. I didn't realize we were doing this extra list, so I was just trying to going through it. And the more I thought about it, Michelle Yeoh was good, but I enjoyed Anya Taylor-Joy's performance better.
Oh yeah.
So that's going to be my actress.
Best director. Man, I had a hard time with this one. Again, there were names in there like Spielberg, Matt Reeves. But at the end of the day, I know this is like a trend, but I got to say Ty West. He directed 2 of my favorite horror movies last year, and they were both top-notch movies with X and Pearl. Not only, again, I'm probably spitting the water too soon, but again, another name like Paul Dano, where I think it's just a matter of time until he takes a project like a franchise or a big horror franchise, and I think it's just a matter of time until he steps out and just does something massive.
How many times?
I might be showing a little bit of bias too, but he also directed a film in ABCs of Death. That's where he got his start from, and I think he's on the cusp of something good.
I was gonna say, we've been doing this for what, 4 or 5 years now.
Oof.
3 years, me and Zach. But we see these trends. We see the actors and the directors that are getting these starts, and we're like, that start was so good, it's nowhere but up for this person.
Yeah.
Jordan Poole. Peele. I'm thinking NBA. Yeah, Jordan Peele. We saw it with the first movie. Saw it with Us. No, just straight incline. We saw it with these actors in A24 films. Mia Goth. Just the incline is always up, and we see it before. I'm not saying before everybody else. It's just because we're watching their starts. Most people aren't watching these movies that they're in because they might be a little bit smaller. but we're able to see the kind of trajectory that these people are going.
Yeah, big ol' favorite director, at least for me last year. So Ty West for me. Zach, you?
I think it's obvious as long as if you've listened to the show long enough, you know what my direct Spielberg for the Fablemans. It's not really, not even so much for the movie itself. I'm giving him credit because it takes a lot for someone to tell their life story in film, and just to have the courage to say, this is the story. I'm not as perfect as you guys think I am. I'm a product of divorce. And I think he nailed telling his story, as best as he could. And I think it really paid off. So yeah, favorite director is Steven Spielberg.
Craig?
Zach, I think you kind of pointed to it earlier. While everybody else is trying to make Batman the next Iron Man, the next great superhero, Matt Reeves took it back to the beginning and gave us a nitty-gritty, dark, mysterious, where when everybody else is wanting to see the Playboy side of Batman, we're getting to see the startup, the not so Playboy, if you want to say. But Matt Reeves absolutely destroyed that film. It was a great movie. Obviously there's other directors, but I think for what he did for that movie and that character, that's my favorite director last year.
Cinematography, wide shots, close-ups. These are our favorite, shots of the movie. Something that looks like it could be on your computer screensaver. We're a film podcast. We're film fans. If you don't know what cinematography is, Google is your best friend. My favorite cinematography scenes from last year, if I had to pick one, I thought the movie The Northman was shot beautifully. It's always those movies that are shot on location that have just the perfect horizon shot. I also could have went with The Banshees of Inisherin, which is not one of my favorite movies of last year, but it was shot beautifully. So I'm going to go with The Northman on this one. Zach?
I'm going to go with my number 6 film, Nope. I think that movie, like I said, was beautifully shot. There was so many angles and shots and little camera tricks that really made that movie special. If you buy the Blu-ray, you actually get the IMAX sequences that were supposed to be in the film. The one shot for sure is just like the wide shot of the house when the creature is like
above it, raining down all the blood from the people.
Raining down all the blood and all the inanimate objects is just beautifully well shot. And I think I think Jordan Peele has an eye for shots, and that this movie definitely proves that. So the cinematography is Nope.
That's what I was going to say. If there was one shot in that movie that really stood out, it was that one. And so obviously it was good if we're both thinking it. It's going to be Top Gun for me. The initial shot when he goes out into space, I know it's technically not the real shot, but the idea to kind of put it out there and have it, and then obviously it was real locations everywhere else with the mountain ranges and on the snow. So it's going to be Top Gun for me.
Favorite comedy from last year. This one was kind of hard just because I did not see a lot of good comedies, but I'm gonna say 2 movies. I got to tie my 2 favorite comedies that I laughed the most of last year. Lost City, Channing Tatum, and Thor: Love and Thunder. I laughed my ass off in the theater with Thor and Love and Thunder. So if it makes me laugh, I consider it a comedy. And I did some looking up, and it does have comedy listed right there in the genre. So my favorite comedy, Lost City and Thor. Zach, what about you?
I'm going to do a last minute add-on. I'm going to have a tie as well because I originally had The Menu as a best comedy. While it's probably more of a thriller, there were a lot of comedic elements in that movie.
It's like a cynical comedy style.
Yeah, black comedy. I'm also going to do Thor. I'm also going to do Thor: Love and Thunder as well because those damn goats. Enough said.
Right.
I had Jackass, but I think that's too
No, that's funny. If it made you laugh.
It did make me laugh, but as far as like a movie that had comedy aspects, The Bad Guys. A movie that you did not expect to be funny had me absolutely dying in the theater with how just kind of witty the comedy was in it. So,
okay.
Favorite horror movie from last year? Why not? I've already said it numerous times. X. And it's just the way X made you feel like you were watching something you weren't supposed to. Not only because of all the pornography scenes, probably, but literally the very first time I watched X, I did not know what was going to happen. I was on the edge of my seat. It felt like I was watching a 1980s slasher film. The gator pops up, and then I think it's going to turn into like an alligator movie, and then boom, you get what you got. So, and the performances were fun. So X was my favorite horror movie from last year. Zach?
Favorite horror movie last year is Smile. My number 7 on my list. Like I said, I truly one of those movies that, you go in expecting something is like, well, and you heard, it was one of those things that you heard the hype about it and it made a whole bunch of money at the box office. And it was just like, okay, let's just check this out. And yeah, it went way far and beyond what it needed to do. And like I said, it did what it's supposed to do as a horror movie. So
I will say Smile it was the simplest, but it was the most genius marketing I've ever seen for a horror movie. It was so simple. People were wondering. What is this movie about? Genius.
And they did it, and they did their job in marketing, not give away the whole film. It was just a creepy teaser of someone smiling. It was like, that's it. That's all you're going to get.
They didn't do massive trailers. They didn't do, it was just, like you said, someone smiling. So
yeah. Craig?
Best horror for me, I'm agree with you. It's X. You didn't know what it was. That alligator swimming up behind her. You could just the shot above it, seeing it coming towards her. That's another cinematography shot that was amazing. X had some good ones, but you thought it was going to be an alligator movie. You thought it was going to be a slasher. You weren't sure what direction it was going, but it had you on the edge of your seat the entire time. It's X.
This should be fun. My most overrated movie of 2022, Barbarian. Horror movie with Justin Long, also starring Bill Skarsgård. When I finally got to see it, I was hearing best movie of the year, most terrifying movie of all time, most terrible. I'm not saying it's terrible, but it's definitely overrated, and it's fine at best. So Barbarian for me is number not a number, it's my most overrated. Zach, overrated for you?
Simple. Avatar: The Way of Water. I'm so tired of hearing about this movie. I'm tired of James Cameron just flaunting his success for this film.
He's just whipping it out everywhere, man.
And the thing that it really, the more I think about it, it really could have been in my worst of the year. But it's not like I'd rather watch Avatar more than those other films. But the fact that it took almost damn near 15 years to get a sequel to Avatar, and this is a story that we got, just if you want to watch it, go right ahead. Was it
nominated for Best Picture, Zach?
Yeah, it was nominated for Best Picture, and I think it won visual effects, I think. But just, I'm so like, the first Avatar, we talked about it, was a good concept, had some good moments, but it was just like, this is probably a one and done thing. But the fact that we got maybe 5 of these damn things coming out is just like why, dude? Like, just go do something else. So
you're gonna go see the third one.
I'm sure, because I need to contribute to James Cameron's $1 billion club.
Craig?
Yeah, so overrated is Avatar: Way of Water.
Overrated?
I need a sign back here that says I did not support Avatar.
James Cameron.
Because I have still not seen it. I don't plan on seeing it. You said it's overrated. I agree with you. It's overrated. Overrated for me, Black Adam. This dude, The Rock, was just out here talking about, I'm the next DC. Everything's going to run through me. And James Gunn was like, go out the door. he did everything he could. So it's not just the movie; it's everything that encompasses this movie. He did everything he could to make this about him, make him DC, the face of DC, the next Robert Downey Jr., the face of a franchise. And in all honesty, he probably ruined what could have been great connections in other films. So not only was the movie not good, I think it's just total BS of what he did surrounding the film. And overall,
I lost a lot of hope for The Rock after news broke and how hard he was to work with DC. So it's he definitely got rock bottomed.
And he's got to stop saying that this was a success. It was not a success compared to other films.
Not. If they're not bringing you back for anything else, it's not a success.
Yep. Exactly.
So overrated for you, Craig? Black Adam.
The Rock.
Most underrated movie of last year for me, Bullet Train. It was funny. There was action, and it was an overall fun movie that I wish I got to see in the theater. Bullet Train is underrated for me. Zach?
I'm going to disagree with you, Johnny. I'm going to say Barbarian is my underrated movie. That was one I really wish I had seen in the theater. It worked on all levels for me. It was eerie. It was creepy. I did not expect what ultimately happened in that movie, and it really worked. So Barbarian is my underrated.
Johnny, I'm right there with you. Bullet Train. When I watched it, I was just like, man, like it looked good, but then you were like, it's a setting on a train. It can't be that good. They filled that time with nonstop action, nonstop jokes,
laughs, everything.
The characters were good. The plot was good. The twist was good. I mean, you didn't know where it was going, and Brad Pitt, he
killed it. He's funny.
He killed it. It was a great movie. Everybody in that cast did what they were there to do, and it just worked. And so, if you haven't seen Bullet Train, there's two people that said it's underrated. Go see it.
I'm surprised that wasn't in your top 10, to be honest, because I know you really like that movie.
It was just outside. I actually flipped it for one of mine in the top 6.
I haven't got to rewatch it yet, so that's why it's not up there for me, because I don't know how the rewatch would go.
Yeah,
I feel like we're gonna have the same answer for this one.
Best theater feeling.
Yeah. Top Gun Maverick.
So? Top Gun Maverick.
Top Gun.
Yep.
Yeah. We'll leave it at that. Best movie moment. I had tears in my eyes when I saw Tom Cruise and Val Kilmer share the screen on watching Top Gun 3 times in the movie theater, watching it at home. It's one of my favorite scenes from last year, and it's, to me, that's the reason you go see movies, and that's the reason we wait 15, 20, 25 years, 30 years for a sequel, is because two heads collided back in the day. They did not want to work with each other. Personal issues set aside, they come together for the love of film, for the love of the story, for the love of the characters, and they're getting too damn old for butting heads. And when it shows on the screen and it makes you feel that way, that's what that movie was meant to do. So Val Kilmer, Tom Cruise sharing that screen together was my favorite movie moment from last year. Zach?
My best movie moment, and Johnny, you'll get this because you've seen the movie, is Why Did They Laugh scene from Babylon. Towards the 2 hours into the movie, Brad Pitt and Gene Smart have this conversation, and he said, "Why did they laugh?" And is it? And the answer is, you did nothing wrong. It wasn't your voice. It wasn't your look. Your time's over as being an actor. I've studied a lot about the transition from silent film to the talkies, and the truth is there was a lot of actors that wasn't able to do that, and that scene just solidified that. But there's a dark humor to that, and what she says is like, in 100 years from now, someone's going to come across your movies and you'll be alive again. It's like that your ghost will live on in those movies that you made. And I think it was what Damien Chazelle was able to do with that scene was so poignant, so beautiful, but heartbreaking for Brad Pitt's character. And just, I think that really stood out to me. even that was at the end of the year for that type of film. So that was my favorite movie moment.
Craig?
I have two. The first one is I guess I'll go with this one. The first one's going to be the Lightyear scene when he's trying to figure out the jet fuel, and every time he takes a lap, it's like years off of the, from where he's at. So it gave me that. What's that movie with Matthew McConaughey? Where
Interstellar.
Interstellar. It gave me an Interstellar feeling, where he wants to fix everything so bad that he doesn't care that he's missing out on everything else that he knows, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to get it done. So even though it was a cartoon, I really felt that, emotion of like how much he doesn't really express it, but you see it in the time lapses of when he goes back and then his best friend's not there anymore. The amount of sadness that she could be feeling as that person, where you literally lose everything in your life in a matter of hours or days. I can't remember, but
that was the Pixar moment in that movie, basically.
I still need to rewatch Lightyear. I need to buy it and rewatch it.
I'll just go with that one. Yeah, I'll just
Okay.
go with that one.
Lightyear. Mr. Lightbeer. This is going to be a unique answer for me, but MVP of 2022 is she was in 2 horror movies last year, and she had the most watched TV show on Netflix. I'm going to say Jenna Ortega is my MVP of 2022. She was in X. She was in Scream. I rewatched Wednesday twice. Never done that with a TV show if it wasn't Yellowstone or Breaking Bad. So, for that to happen, I think she was the MVP for me of 2022. And you know what? She's off to a good start this year with Scream 6. So I think it's just a matter of time until she's blown up even more bigger than she is now, and she's in a lot of other interesting and more movie-making history. So that's mine. Zach?
MVP of the year for me is Paul Dano. I mean, truly 2 big performances with the Riddler and Batman, and playing essentially Steven Spielberg's dad in The Fabelmans. 2 very different performances, but also it's just total crap that he didn't get any nominations for any of those 2 performances. And if you want to take it a step further, we talked about him throughout the year. We talked about There Will Be Blood. We talked about the Batman. We talked about Prisoners. And then last week we talked about The Fabelmans. So it was a very Paul Dano heavy year here at the podcast, and deservedly so. And I think he's like Jenna Ortega. I think a lot of people are starting to come around and say, oh, wow, this guy's actually pretty damn good. So,
yep. Craig, MVP?
Man, I agree with you, Zach. I think Paul Dano was in my list. It was definitely in contention for that. I wanted to say Pedro Pascal, but then I realized The Last of Us was a 2023 premiere.
TV.
So I feel like maybe he might be mine for next year. So I'm going to go with I legit just had it. Oh my God.
Craig looked like that after the OU Texas game.
No, I lost my whole entire. Robert Pattinson. That's. Oh, okay. Johnny's muted. I saw his mouth moving. Yeah, Robert Pattinson. To be able to go out and everybody doubted you to come out and play Batman, and you make a movie that is $1 billion, and now people see you as the face of DC, which didn't really have a true direction.
Yeah.
MVP. You are the face of what was essentially a failed franchise of last year. So that's my MVP.
We go from the best to the worst, and this is the absolute dog shit worst movie of the year for me, 2022. Last year, my this prestigious award went to Power of the Dog Shit last year for me. This year, it's going to go to a requel trying to follow in some people's footsteps. It's going to be Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's absolutely the worst movie I've seen last year. It's worse than Power of the Dog shit. It's terrible. I never want to watch it again. For this movie to even make it on Netflix's screen, but the Batgirl gets canceled, is beyond me. And I think it's completely horrible. It's terrible. For anybody to sit there and say they actually liked it. You know what? You're lying to yourself because you just want to see Leatherface kill people. Do yourself a favor and just put something else in that has Leatherface, because even Leatherface from 2017 is better than this dog shit.
Just put Mankind in there.
Yeah, watch Mankind eat a bowl of fucking SpaghettiOs. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022 was the worst. We go. Move on. Zach?
Well, this honorous award goes to a film that came out early last year, and I should have known given the director, but you know, he's done some films I liked, I'll admit. But my dog shit of the year is Moonfall. Truly one of the worst films I have ever seen. I'm going to spoil it because I don't care. The fact that it's just extraterrestrial, like IT, like tech that's basically harboring the moon, and that's how like all hell's breaking loose. Truly one of the worst things I've ever seen put to camera. It's the only enjoyment I got out of this was when we did our Eternals review, and midway through, Johnny was just like, "Well, they had like dinosaurs and stuff." I was like, "Are you talking about the Moonfall trailer?" It's like that was the only good thing about it. But yeah, just truly atrocious, and never want to watch it again. So that's my dog shit of the year. Is
I bought it,
Moonfall.
by the way. I have Moonfall.
Oh, don't, dude! You did Moonfall.
I have Moonfall on 4K.
You bought Moonfall and Firestar, dude. You had a rough year last year.
Craig?
If you need some help, just like blink twice.
Well, you know, there's only one movie that fans petitioned to bring it back into theaters just so they could see it fail again.
Oh, God, no.
That's Morbius. Jared Leto, I feel like, is if you're bringing him on for a movie, you just almost plan for it to fail. As the Joker for Suicide Squad, and now Morbius. That's, you know, two big movies that should have been big time are now kind of jokes. Just wasn't good. Was not good. And like I said, the fact that fans petitioned to bring it back because they said they were going to go see it and then let it fail again.
Made no money on that re-release.
What more do you want for a movie that's like absolute dog shit?
So yeah. Almost made my list. Let's get into some emails real quick before we finish off and name our top 5 movies of the year. Again, everybody can email us at cinemen921@gmail.com. Gabriel, top 5 movies in this order: 5, Black Panther 2, The Batman, Top Gun, Lightyear, number 1, Thor. Jesus or Jesus, I don't know how this, however you pronounce it. My top 5 movies of 2022 for, we're going to call you Jesus because we watched The Big Lebowski a few weeks ago. Number 5, Thor. Number 4, Bullet Train. Number 3, Avatar 2. Number 2, Top Gun Maverick. Number 1, Smile. Sarah 97. Number 5, Megan. Number 4, The Barbarian. Number 3, X. Number 2, The Batman. Number 1, Avatar. Sam G69 says, I can't believe The Big Lebowski was a letdown for most of you. It's the perfect movie to just get lost in and just listen to the dialogue. 9 stars for Sam G69, which was a fun episode.
Craig just had a stroke all of a sudden.
If you want to go back, if you want to go back and listen to that episode, go back. We talked about The Big Lebowski.
No, I understand people love The Big Lebowski. It just wasn't for me.
Jeffrey, top 5 movies of 2022. Number 5, Babylon. Number 4, Lightyear. Number 3, Men. Number 2, Woman King. Number 1, Top Gun Maverick. Lawrence, top 5 of 2022. Number 5, Clerks 3. Number 4, Megan. Number 3, Tar. Number 2, Black Panther. Number 1, Babylon. Barry says The Fablemans was a good movie, but lengthy. I don't think I'll ever have the desire to rewatch it again. 7 stars.
We use a different word around here.
Girthy. I'll finish off with Darren, and then we'll get into our top 5. My favorite 5 movies of 2022. Number 5, Thor: Love and Thunder. Number 4, Scream. Number 3, Smile. Number 2, Prey. Number 1, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. If you guys want to send in some more, I'm sorry I didn't get to all of them. Send in some more, and I will read more next week when we talk about Brendan Fraser and The Whale. But now, let's talk our top 5 favorite movies of 2022. Top 5 favorite movies 2022. Number 5 for me. And again, these movies to me, they're all 10s, and I could watch them numerous times. Number 5 for me is going to be Elvis. Had a full episode designated to it. Austin Butler kills it. It's a lengthy movie. It's girthy, but you know what? The music, the scenes, the performances, it flies by, and you really see the true heartbreak and triumph of Elvis. So that's my number 5. Zach?
Number 5 for me is one that I truly, truly, truly wish I had seen in the theater. But, at Thanksgiving, they have 800 movies that come out, and you only can see so many. So number 5 is Devotion. Loved it, loved it, loved it. 2 great performances with Jonathan Majors and Glenn Powell. The inspirational true story of Jesse Brown, the first Black aviator in U.S. naval history. Just a very inspirational, like I just said, story about someone who really made their mark. And I didn't know anything about the story of Jesse Brown. And yeah, just go check it out. You can watch it on Paramount Plus. Number 5, Devotion.
Craig, number 5?
Which that's one that will be on my list to watch very soon. Number 5 for me is going to be Sonic 2. It was a fun watch with my daughter. Again, I think that's what most of my top 5 is. It's just watches I had with my daughter that I had a fantastic time. The movie was great. So yeah, Sonic 2, the introduction of Sonic, of Knuckles and Tails, and then Jim Carrey was amazing in it. So
I still want to see that.
On number 5.
I need to check it out. Number 4 for me, had a whole conversation about it last week. We talked about it. Is going to be The Fablemans. Really, really good watch. The performances outstanding. I don't know why this isn't on any kind of streaming yet, but you can rent it, you can buy it. 4 for me is The Fablemans. So, Fab 4, Fablemans. There we go. Zach, number 4 for you.
I'll follow that up. Number 4 is The Fablemans. Love Spielberg. Love the story. Great performances. Everything you just said, Johnny, and more. So go listen to that episode from last week.
Number 4 for me, Lightyear. Like I said, had great moments in it. Moments that made you laugh, moments that made you tear up a little bit. And overall, I feel like Lightyear got the same treatment as Solo.
Yeah.
People didn't know exactly what they were going to get out of it, so they didn't go see it. Lightyear was amazing to me, so this is my number 4.
Number 3. By the way, I wanted to bring up this number. Usually we talk about, box office budget, IMDb ratings and stuff like that. Today we're not really reviewing a movie, so we're not going to do that. But I will say 2022 grossed over $26 billion worldwide at the movie theaters, at the box office. So that's the number from last year that the box office made throughout the entire world, all the movies, cinema, 26 billion. So just when you think it's safe to come back out of your mask and COVID, boom, that number pops up. So that's huge. And that's a good thing to talk about and see. Number 3 for me, I won't spend too much time on it because we're talking about it next week. The Whale. Brendan Fraser, number 3 for me. Zach, number 3 for you.
Number 3 is Apple TV original movie Cha Cha Real Smooth. Dakota Johnson, directed by and starring Cooper Raiff. Really great coming of age story of trying to find yourself after college, and had some good moments. Had a lot of great moments, a lot of sad moments, and just an overall inspiring story. Highly recommend it. You can watch it on Apple TV. So number 3, Cha Cha Real Smooth.
Number 3 for me, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Just great cast. The animation that they used in the movie was fantastic. It was a different style that they've used in previous films from Universal.
I think it's the same kind that they used in
Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah,
it was very close. I don't know if they copied it or whatever. But the characters, the cast, the voice actors, the art style, the music, the comedy, the story, and the villain. The villain was absolutely fantastic in this movie. When you think of a cartoon with Puss in Boots, you don't expect the villain to knock it out of the park, and that wolf did. So that's my number 3.
Number 3.
We're down to the last 2.
I had the need for speed. Number 2 for me is Top Gun Maverick. Just so much fun. I think we can all agree. I at least had so much fun with it, watching it numerous times in the theater. Could not wait to buy it, bring it home, and check it out at home. This is now one of those movies, along with everything else in my top 5, that if somebody's like, oh, I want to watch a good movie, I show them one of these movies. It's just, the soundtrack, the score, everything. Top Gun Maverick was just unbelievable. We had a whole episode on it. It's still to this day our most downloaded episode of 2022. And then shortly behind that is best of 2021. So
there's a reason I stayed in the theater for like 6 months.
Yeah. So that's my number 2, Top Gun Maverick. Zach?
Number 2, next week's episode, The Well. So we'll talk about it next week.
Number 2 for me, Top Gun. I'm right there with you, Johnny.
Oof.
Oh man, what's number 1 going to be? I'm very curious.
There's no competition. Number 1 is the 3-hour-long Batman movie for me. When you can, it's just from start to finish. It's almost. I'm not going to compare it to The Godfather with the 3-hour movie, but each hour is significant. Each hour has its own importance. The performances were great. Paul Dano, Robert Pattinson, Zoe Kravitz. And I think somebody who doesn't get mentioned a lot when you talk about the Batman, I talked about this in the episode, John Turturro. He is perfect as a greaseball. He's perfect as a Falcone crime boss. And this movie was perfect to me in all cylinders. I could watch it over and over again. So number 1 for me
was
Colin
fantastic.
Farrell. Yeah, exactly. Perfect. And we got a glimpse of the Joker, so that's good. The Batman, number 1 for me. Zach?
The real Joker.
Number 1 for me, Top Gun Maverick. We've gone on and on. It truly is. It's a spectacular work of filmmaking. It stayed at number 1 the entire rest of the year after we saw it. And like I said, like you said, Craig, the fact that it came out Memorial Day and it was in theaters all the way, at least
October.
until November, probably even after when Black Panther came out. That just shows you what a good movie can do, and people want to go back and rewatch it. And the fact that it got all the way to the Oscars and got nominated for Best Picture and visual effects and everything. Tom Cruise was right in saving this film for a theater setting, and he was right not to he decided to wait and wait for a great story to come along to do a sequel to Top Gun. And I think a lot of people, a lot of studios need to take what Tom Cruise did into effect and say, hey, we don't need to do a sequel right after the original comes out. Just give it some time to breathe, and just wait for a great story.
Need to have the right story. Yeah.
Exactly. So
Craig?
yeah, number one, Top Gun Maverick.
Number one for me, the 3 hour triumph that you talked about, the Batman. Start to finish, it was palpable. Just feel the tension when he first comes out with those people that have their face painted and they're kind of mugging that guy, and you kind of hear those. It's like a ching, like
almost like he's
Cowboys boot spurs.
yeah, almost like he's wearing spurs.
Everything they did in this movie was fantastic. The car, the sound, at the Dolby. Now, some people may have went and seen it elsewhere. I'm a Dolby guy. That's where I go for all my big time movies. The sound, the visuals, everything about that movie was just fantastic, and that's what you want in one of those movies. It wasn't just a superhero movie. It encompassed detective work. It encompassed a great storyline, great plot, great score, great sound, great cinematography, great visuals. Everything about that movie was top tier, and can't wait for the next one.
Yeah. So that was it, guys. That's our top 5+5 favorite movies of 2022. If you guys want to continue to send us in your list, please do so. But it's been it's been a year. We're already almost 6 months into 2023, and
4 months,
almost 6 months.
4 months. Yeah.
Right. I just said almost.
I'm jumping this.
I'm jumping ship here, but
you're just so excited to talk about The Flash.
Next week, April the 10th, we're talking about The Whale, the movie that won Brendan Fraser an Oscar. So it should be fun. And the rest of April is already lined out. If you guys have not followed us on the social media, again, you can watch us on YouTube. Thank you to Emasawa Productions. You can also listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts at. So April the 10th, Brendan Fraser, The Whale. April 15th, we're talking The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent with Nick Cage. And then April 24th, we're talking Face Off. So those are our next few episodes. Zach, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, before we get out of here, how would you summarize 2022? Just like, to me, I feel like the blockbusters were kind of lackluster with the exception of Top Gun Maverick and maybe a couple others, but I feel like it was more of an independent year where a lot more like films that like kind of would go under the radar had their moment in the sun. So I kind of appreciate that as a film fan.
I would say it was a year of highs and lows. Big time movies had big time highs. Big time movies had big time lows. There were a lot of movies that did really well, a lot of movies that just didn't do well at all. And like you said, independence really shined last year. A24 is continuing to become a predominant art house.
What was Craig?
A24?
There it is.
I mean, Johnny got us on A24. I thought it was kind of a joke whenever it started with everything going on, but
I'm a member.
It's becoming one of those, when you see A24 on a film, you know it's going to deliver.
Yep.
And so it is what it is at that point. You know what I mean?
2022 for me was a true look of why the story really matters. CGI doesn't matter. Budget doesn't matter. Because you can look at a movie like the movie that was the most expensive to make on Avatar. And then you can look at a movie that hardly cost anything to make, like, The Whale or Everywhere All at Once. It's just story really matters. These characters, these actors get together to tell us a great story. And it also last year proved to me that Disney is no longer king.
No.
Disney and Marvel, they're no longer king because they produced a lot of lackluster shit. And
it's evident because they've made a lot of changes.
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, storytelling is everything. That's why we go to the movies. to see these big stories play out on the big screen. So I think last year was a positive in the movie business, and even though we as podcasters are not in the movie business, we talk a lot about the industry, we watch a lot of stuff, and I think that in itself, everybody has a right to their opinion. So I think that's a great question to end the show on. Everybody ask us, what was your favorite part of 2022? Send us in an email.
Yeah.
I just want to say, it's a down year for Disney and Marvel, and none of them made my list except for Lightyear.
Yeah,
But,
that's true.
I mean, there was no Thor, there was no Black Panther, there was no
Doctor Strange.
I
was,
think it was like that for all of us.
Yeah.
None of us had any of those in our top 10 other than Thor was an honorable mention. That's it. So, next subject matter, guys. If you have not seen it, go check it out. The Whale. It's a very emotional driven movie. It's very different from what we've reviewed in the past, but highly recommend it. Go check it out because that's what we're talking about next week, April the 10th, next Monday. Anybody have any final thoughts on the year 2022 before we head out of here?
Where'd it go?
No. Overall, it was an interesting year. Like you said, Craig, a lot of highs and lows, and I agree with you, Johnny. A very story-driven year, so I appreciate that. Next week,
it's on to Swimming with the Whales next week.
I really want it. Like we always do. We always have real conversations, but next week, like you said, it's a very emotionally driven movie, and I'm interested. I'm interested to see what you guys think about this. So
it'll be a rewatch. So I'm excited for it.
It wasn't what I expected. I'll put it that way. I thought it was my from what I had heard about the movie and what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was different. So that's not the movie's fault. It's just what my visual representation that I had in my head before I watched it.
Yeah. Another great award show, guys. Another tremendous episode. I'm very thankful for you too, and I'm very thankful for everybody who downloads, listens, subscribes, and likes all of our stuff. So again, send us in your top 5 of 2022, and we'll share it next week on the episode when we talk all about the Whale right here on a new episode of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast.